I was very excited to say drop the intro. Welcome to the Inner Hoe Uprising, the podcast about sex, love, and dating from the perspective of me, Sam, one black, non-monogamous, pansexual feminist hoe who lives in New York City, whose pronouns are she and her, and who's gonna get the drop right for the YouTube people one day. But today is once again not that motherfucking day, unfortunately.
We're troubleshooting, man. We're getting there. Yeah. And also me, Rodeka, a fat black, non-monogamous.
Monagamag, dude.
Non-monogamous existentialist femme whose life is a series of coincidences that somehow landed her here, and my pronouns are she and her.
Very nice. Every episode of the Inner Hoe Uprising works like this. Myself and my lovely rotating co-hosts talk about sex, love, and dating as it pertains to current events in the world, our lives, and yours. And occasionally we hit you with interviews with insightful folks or do deep dive episodes on a topic of our choice. This episode, we're talking about the high demand for sperm donors across these here United States. We're talking about lesbian rabbits. We're talking about punani scented candles. We're talking about couples therapy, but as friends. And the Danish kids show about a big dicked man, and much more in addition to that. We got a good one in store because that was like a fever dream of words. Yeah, like that was like a Mad Lib.
You said it out loud, and it was just like, did any of those things actually mean something? And they meant so much at the same time. Yes, and it's all happening in this one episode, y'all.
Yes, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
And if you would like to follow along with the conversation found in this episode, you could do so on social media using the hashtag Inner Hoe Uprising so we can see it, and the hashtag PodIn so other people can see it. And if you would like to follow us on social media, you can do so at Inner Hoe Uprising without the G on Twitter, Inner Hoe Uprising on Instagram and Facebook. And you can join our Facebook group by searching Inner Hoe Uprising, CUMMUNITY, and head to innerhoeuprising.com to pay a hoe.
If you're freaking with the vision and down with the vibes, I'm looking at you, YouTube. Do us a favor and hit subscribe. If you're supportive of the hoes and want to see our success spike, do us a favor and click like. If you want to keep the conversation going during your time spent, do us a favor and comment with your thoughts and opinions. And please click that like bell. Otherwise, you're going to the 9th circle of hell. I've been watching Sabrina, and apparently that.
And the 9th.
So you all to know that. No. And if you want to pay us to speak virtually at your school or conference about sex positivity, black feminism, sorry, that was my WhatsApp. I've closed it. Okay, let me start that over. Do you, if you want to pay us to speak virtually at your school or conference about sex positivity, black feminism, podcasting, or other kinds of topics we discuss on this here show, or if you'd like us to host a consent, pleasure, or dating virtual workshop for your organization, we would love to do all of those things. So to book us, you can send us a line to ihupodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Lay to drop for the next segment.
Grandma, yeah. Are you a hoe?
I love how pleased you are. Exactly. That's what it is. And it's the joy for me where every time you just like, phenomenal, sensational. Who am I?
At my own very silly jokes. Anyway. Now on the Hoe of the Week. This is the segment where we shout out the homies who have supported Inner Hoe Uprising in the past week. Hoes of the Week get special nicknames, and the game, if they choose to participate, is to guess the meaning behind their nicknames. So this week we got Bryan R, aka Robynette, sorry, who became a patron on Patreon. We got Anjuli S, aka Granny, who became a patron on Patreon, and we got Wendy N, aka Blow Trees, who upped their pledge on Patreon. If you would like to be a hoe of the week and get a cool nickname, here's some things you can do. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can feature us in an article you've written or shout us out on social media. These are non-monetary ways you can support us. We love monetary and non-monetary support, and we understand that in these uncertain times, monetary support is not feasible for many folks because, like, where's the stimulus check?
Where's the stimmy? I want my stimulus check, yeah. That's my video.
Thinking of changing my Twitter name to Stimmy Eat World. but somebody else already had that. But I did want everyone to know that I did think of that pun.
Yo, I still laugh at you going, this is our next stimulus check, and it's a 2-trip fucking Metro card. I reference that often, and like I show people that because it's fucking hilarious, son. It's like, yeah.
Shout out to the 2 trips though.
Yo, they do be coming in hand. They did at one point in time, so I'm not gonna act stush, but come on now.
We need a little more than that, guys. Please.
Please
Help me, nigga. All right. Yeah. So please, the point is, please do not spend your last dollars on us. Put you and yours first. But if you can't spare some change, you can donate to us on PayPal by going to paypal.me/innerho. Or you can become a patron by going to patreon.com/innerhouprising. The links to both, which are in the show notes. Also a reminder that if you do become a patron on Patreon for $2 a month, you can participate in things like our Slack chat, our patron-only film nights, and for $5 a month, you can join our Monday night Zoom hangouts. And at any Patreon tier, you can receive access to our episodes a few days early, entry to our workshops and parties, and entry to our pre-episode recording hangouts, which are always so fun. Everyone is like smart and funny and just a good ass time. We were talking about misinformation and Clubhouse.
Yes. Woof.
This past week. That was fun. Okay, we're going to get into our next segment. Wave Ghost. We're moving on to self-care tip of the week. This is the segment where we give you some tips on how to care for yourself. So this week, does breast cancer run in your family, or other kinds of cancers like prostate or ovarian cancer? Are you just simply concerned about your risk of getting breast cancer, whether or not it runs in your family? Have you had questions about the genetics of it all? Are you curious about the process of seeing a genetic counselor and assessing your risks and options for prevention? Well, this week's self-care tip, I want to point you in the direction of a really good talk that I think you might find helpful and might get you some answers to the aforementioned questions. So it was called Breast Cancer. It was called Breast Cancer Genetics in the Black Community and featured several physicians and genetic counselors discussing just that. The talk was hosted on Clubhouse, which can be good sometimes. Despite
it's a balance. It's not always bad.
Sometimes there's misinformation and sometimes there's actual information. This was one of the instances of the information. So it was hosted on Clubhouse and Instagram Live by the same people who bring you a podcast that I produce, In Those Genes. That full talk is now available for you to listen and learn on Instagram. So I'm going to be sharing the link in the show notes for that. And I hope you find it valuable like I did, because it was a good talk. We're going to move into our next segment, and I'm excited to introduce the drop for this one.
He humped a male dog. The owner said, "This dog must be gay."
So we are debuting a new segment. It is called Animals Do Be Gay, though, and it is the segment where we acknowledge and discuss the diverse sexual identities of animals.
Y'all, if y'all are ever wondering, we do it for y'all, but there's a love behind this for just things that we want you to know. And the fact that this segment exists is a perfect testament to that. It's fun. It's fun over here, y'all.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Animals do be gay, though. They do.
Yes. What are our gay animals this week?
So this week we found a lovely article about lesbian rabbits. So the full title of this article, I believe, needs to be read. It needs to be This Morning. The name of the show is This Morning. This morning viewer calls in concerned her rabbit is a lesbian, as fans are left stunned that 15,000 animal species are gay. I feel like this is a challenge at this point now, and it's a perfect start, because I'm thinking now we must find all 1,500 gay animal species. I mean, if it's there, we've got to find it. That's 1,500 different pieces of information that must be shared.
Yes, with the people. That's a good point. I'm for it. I'm for it
too. So Yvette from Essex, this is a UK show. So Yvette from Essex took part in the segment with Dr. Scott on the show, where it's a vet that they ask questions about animals, like if they're sick, how do I know if they're sick, blah, blah, blah. So then she called in. And Yvette has two sister rabbits who are 21 years. Jesus Christ. These some old ass
They can
rabbits,
legally
man.
drink and
that's
are
why
just
they
gonna
lesbian.
pass away very soon.
The
That's why
21
they're
I
lesbian.
don't know why I said that. It's been a long time. 21 weeks old, named Havis and Willow. Havis has started to mount Willow and chase her around.
Wait, okay.
Yes.
I just want to interject here. Sister rabbits.
Sister
Are they
rabbits.
related?
Yes.
Oh no.
They're the same litter. I don't know if the word is litter. Yeah.
This went from LGBTQ rabbits to like a fucking like Pornhub.
Yes, they went and got a little freak sister rabbit.
Sister lesbian rabbits.
Only 21 weeks old. Like, it's bad. And I know that's bad, y'all. But come on, you've seen the title. Yes, that's what's happened.
Oh boy.
The rabbit's gone wild. But they basically the host. There's a host of the show outside of the vet who is kind of pulling Yvette to ask the question because she's dancing around it. But she doesn't end up asking directly, even though the host knows the question. So she's just kind of like, like this is what's happening. And then on the screen, it just pops up and it says, "Is my rabbit lesbian?" Because they're like, fuck that, just ask the question. And she said, what she did say was she went online and to do some research about lesbian rabbits, and all she was able to find was someone said to tell them no, to stop in a stern voice, like stop, and just like point at them and be like, stop being lesbian rabbits. But then,
you gotta just like read scripture to them.
In
the Bible, it said woman rabbit for man rabbit. It's Rabbit Adam and Rabbit Eve.
It's not Willow Hava.
It's not Willow and Cloris or whatever.
It's Steve and Willow. That's what it is. Yeah. So the vet.
Imagine you said Steve. Steve in the Bible. Shout out to Adam.
Adam and Willow. My bad, y'all. Clearly, I don't read the Bible. Anyway, so the vet says, and they had a really good answer. It was, a lot of animals can be gay. Do tell. About 1,500 species of animals are known to show homosexual behavior, so it's all very, very natural. I said that clearly we're vets. I mean, I don't know if we need an honorary license or something, but we are ahead of our time. We've been saying this.
The animals do be gay.
I mean, ask us questions and I got you. But he goes on to say love is love. But in this particular case, it's actually territorial. So two animals, two sisters sharing the same room. They're just fighting. They're sharing the same space, and they've been together for a long time. So like the mounting and the chasing around isn't sexual. It's just like
she's just fucking her up.
Yeah, she's like fighting her. Like, you know what I mean? So they're going to want a bit of extra space, and female rabbits, more than male rabbits, are more territorial as they're the ones who are going to protect their burrow. So he went on to say about them being like neutered because it was a hormonal thing. I don't really like that. I mean, that granted, I don't have any animals, but I just like don't like the idea of neutering animals because they're just displaying behaviors that are innate for their species.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people, obviously that's a thing, but I just didn't put that in there because I'm like, whatever. We just want to know about the gayness. But yeah, so that's what it was. They're just literally like, all right, you're all up in my space, sis. Like, get out of here. So she's just fighting her.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then people were on Twitter were like, get a grip. Like, what kind of question is that? But I'm like, I mean, she didn't seem, Yvette wasn't like, I'm angry. It was more like, what do I do? This is unexpected. It's kind of like a child. Like, how do I help my child lesbian rabbit? And I'm like, just let them be, you know? But yeah, clearly these bunnies were not of the 1,500 species, but soon we'll find them and we'll talk about them as well.
We will continue to, this was a bait and switch.
Yes,
we got to continue to find the fucking lesbian rabbits and interview them for this podcast.
They're out there.
What sound do rabbits even make?
I think they just like, there's this little tiny mic thing that's going on, like a trend where they put mics next to animals' mouths. And I think they just like chew things. I don't think they actually make any noises. It would just be sniffing and like just a little bit of like, yeah, they're cute. Animals.
I thought it was funny when he said love is love.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know what anybody's capacity for, like, I don't know what people's personal thoughts on like, animals are, but just like do animals have the capacity to love? Like, is it love?
Is it love
like,
is love? I think he was trying to make a statement, and he was just
like gayness is okay.
Yeah,
because I'm like fucking.
he
Lady
went a
Gaga,
little far. He
Lady
did.
Gaga's gonna make a remix to Born This Way, but it's just gay animals. Love is love.
He just started dancing. I don't know
Transgender
why.
by lions, like
Rabbits. Oh my. But yes, that's Animals Do Be Gay. Though our intro segment, you know.
There you go. The inaugural Animals.
The
Do Be
inaugural.
Gay.
There you go.
That was
Yes.
good. I appreciate that. Much more in store. And if
Of
you have
course.
gay animals who
Let
would
us
like
know.
who would like to be interviewed for this podcast specifically,
We'll get a tiny mic, and I promise you we'll be prepared for when they come. Okay.
Oh man. All right, let's get into our next segment. Let me pull that the fuck up.
Baby, come through. You deserve rounds tonight.
I think
Yes.
the fact that I laugh like I don't already know what it is, but
Like
when it
you're
starts,
playing it, you're like, end scene.
when it starts, I'm just like doubly amused. Like, wow, people listen to this. That's so funny.
Oh, people listen and enjoy it. What's wrong with you guys?
It's
No, I'm
just
kidding. We're
me
great.
being the same person I was when I was 14.
Consistent.
And people think that's amusing. Thank you guys. Seriously. All right. So this is last week we were calling it Working Title Throat Baby, but we have named this segment officially. This is called Fuck Is This? And it's a moment to discuss, rant about, or laugh at nonsense in the realm of sex, love, and dating. So this week I'm going to bring you some doubly unfortunate news. 1, Gwyneth Paltrow has a vagina scented candle, and 2, it allegedly exploded in someone's home. Like, that's rough shit, man.
My
That's
God.
bad. That's bad news.
A lot. That's a lot.
In a pandemic?
Yeah, yo. It's just because the first thing I thought of was just like the smell. Like, just if it exploded, the smell is everywhere now. So, you know, you might have wanted that concentrated scent, and now it's just like I walk in and it's just I'm walking.
My whole house smells like Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy.
Yep.
Sad. Sad. All right, so
I'm sorry. Just invite friends over and they're like,
And what kind of pussy is it, right? Because, you know, your pussy goes through a variation
what
of
stage
smells.
of the month
Is it period
in?
pussy?
I don't know.
It's just
Woo.
copper pennies up in there. Like, y'all open the piggy bank?
What is going on today?
Gwyneth Paltrow's candle just exploded, unfortunately.
I would leave someone's home.
It's
immediately
Gwyneth
after
Paltrow's BV pussy. Oh, y'all cooking fish up in here?
that.
Oh shit!
Nah, it's
no,
GP.
It's GP's BV pussy.
That's it. Oh my God.
If you are new to this podcast, this is not to shame vagina smells. We
Yeah,
accept
not at all.
Vagina smells
Not at
here.
all.
That's actually something that we're going to talk about a little bit at the end of this.
Fun fact: me and Sam both have vaginas, so I don't know.
And they
if
do
you
be
know.
smelling though. Sometimes it's just like, yo, my pussy is rocking today,
And
boy.
I'm like, damn, that's the side of the bed I woke up on today.
Heard you, sis.
Word, I heard you're commanding the room today. I see you, and I will follow suit because there's nothing I could do. No shade at all here.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy candle. So I'm just going to read this article. This is from the New York Post, and it's titled Gwyneth Paltrow's quote unquote vagina candle. I don't know why that's in quotes. Reportedly explodes in UK woman's home.
UK
is always on some shit, though.
Yes.
This is by reporter Yaron Steinbach, who also wrote the story about the man who grew the penis on his arm, which we talked about, and also happened in UK. Yeah, I fuck with Yaron Steinbach, unless he's racist or something of the like, in which
Then
case
we don't.
We will continue to say your articles on this podcast, but we do not fuck with you personally. All right, so the Gwyneth Paltrow candle didn't pass the smell test, according to a report, and that's why you gotta fuck with Yaron, because this nigga likes puns just as much as I do. This smells like my vagina candle. The actress pedals on Goop exploded into flames in the living room of a UK woman who won the odoriferous product in a quiz, The Sun reported. I just want to say other Goop products include, because I don't fuck with Goop. I think isn't it like fake or some shit like that?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it like rub this on your body and you'll be healed or some shit like that?
It's very white hotep-y, and because I have to say that. Very like, and then it's there you go. And then it's like really expensive too. I don't think any products there are really cheap. So
Yes.
yeah.
I'm gonna get into cost in a bit.
It's just a doubly terrible sight.
So Goop is a white hotep
Yes.
organization run by Gwyneth Paltrow. Other Goop products include This Smells Like My Orgasm candle, This Smells Like My Prenup candle. There's a This Smells Like My Vagina roll-on that you can wear on your physical body. And then there's the Tennis Coach vibrator.
Oh.
So that's what's going on over at Goop. The candle exploded and emitted huge flames with bits flying everywhere. Jody Thompson, 50, told the outlet. I've never seen anything like it. The whole thing was ablaze and it was too hot to touch. It was an inferno in the room, the media consultant from Kilburn, North London added. And that's the 9th circle of hell that I was referring to.
There you go. And we're back. Yes. Gotcha.
Thompson, who lives with her partner David Snow, said they threw the flaming candle out the front door. There's the fact that his name is David Snow. These niggas in the UK are really named after Game of Thrones characters up in here. Yep. Wow, interesting. It could have burned the place down. It was scary at the time, but funny looking back that Gwyneth's vagina candle exploded in my
nice sense of humor.
I fully agree with that. Paltrow 48 launched the $75 candle emitting her private scent. Yes, it is $75, unfortunately, in January 2020. And you know what happened in January 2020? The world started a descent into chaos. And I don't know if that's a coincidence that Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina candle came out at that same time.
Anything that happened in 2020 was not a coincidence. It was the year to end all years. So it was like, look, anything that could happen. As soon as I saw 2020, I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
So was her vagina candle the fourth horseman of the apocalypse or the first horseman of the apocalypse?
The first. It was the coming of the apocalypse. This is when this dropped and we knew. Everything after that was a descent into madness.
Oh man. All right. So scent notes include geranium, citrusy bergamot, and cedar absolutes juxtaposed with damask rose and ambrette seed, according to her online stores.
Okay.
What the fuck are any of those?
I have a question.
I know bergamot.
Is she smelling her own vagina and saying it smells like all of these things? Or is there like a tester or multiple people going like, I'm getting hints of
cedar notes.
Is that cedar? We must juxtapose. Like, come on.
Great question that I don't know the answer to, but here's a little backstory from the article. This candle started as a joke between perfumer Douglas Little and GP, reads the website. Oh, people actually call her GP. That was a joke that you were making.
I was making it up, and I swear to God, I didn't know that was a thing.
Imagine
that name
the
is long as fuck.
I'm just like, call me SR, niggas.
Like, what's up? Call me sir, nigga. That's my name.
Wow. I have to start doing that. The two were working on a fragrance and she blurted out, this smells like a vagina. And I just feel like you're fucking lying, Gwyneth Paltrow. I just feel like I don't believe you.
At what stage in the fragrance did it smell like a vagina?
At what point?
You're like, oh, stop at the geranium. That's pussy. Let's add more things like that. No. You didn't.
We don't believe you. You need several more people. But it evolved into a funny, gorgeous, sexy, and beautifully unexpected scent. Isn't that the whitest thing you've ever heard in your entire life? That's just like how white people talk sometimes. Gorgeous,
specifically
funny,
unexpected.
Sexy.
I've heard like, well, yeah, that's like something that would be on someone's bedroom wall. It's like gorgeous, sexy, and beautiful. Like oh my God, like the live, laugh, love, but in the bedroom. That's what it is. I get that.
That's what this candle is. These are the live, laugh, love hoteps.
Yes.
The triple L hoteps.
You don't need antidepressants. Go out into the sun, hoteps. Got you.
Just have a funny, gorgeous, sexy, beautifully unexpected day.
And then they start ruffling their hair and they're like, yeah. You just gotta be unexpected. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. A Goop spokesperson told the Post in a statement that Thompson's candle wasn't purchased through the outlet, so we aren't able to verify its authenticity. I don't know what to make of that, so I'll just move
People
on.
out here making fake GP candles.
bootleg. This smells like my vagina candle.
Okay.
But then also she won it in a contest.
Yeah, but like, were you okay? There's so many questions. Was the prize only that, and is that what she was working hard for?
Is that what you entered the competition?
Is that what you actually tried to win for? The candle?
It's like, this is what I need. Yes.
People out here trying to smell it like that. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'd do it for a Rihanna candle. I know that sounds crazy, but I might.
We're gonna get to that a little bit later. I have questions in regards to that. Let's finish up the article. However, the factory that manufactures the Goop times heretic candles. Why would you hoop
the goop
times heretic?
Boop. I'm sorry.
Shout out to Kanye. Pre-racism though.
Yeah.
I just feel like I wouldn't burn something called Goop times heretic in my home. That sounds evil. That sounds like you're opening up once again the ninth circle of hell in your fucking home. That's why that shit exploded. Goop times heretic.
It's a collaboration.
Don't collaborate, because that's the heretic is the second fucking horseman of the apocalypse.
There you go.
Heretic candles is certified by the National Candle Association of America, which regulates that candles meet stipulated safety guidelines and ASTM and CPSC fire safety protocols. Nora Raj Brown said in the email.
Okay.
That felt safe. I heard that and that felt safe. The article said a little bit more things, but that's where I would like to personally end it and move on to another thing that I find unfortunate, Badusi. So last year, which was it really was the worst year. Erykah Badu sold Badusi, or Badu's pussy incense, and it sold out in 19 minutes.
Yes. That was an iconic.
That was a moment. We didn't get to talk about it on the show, but that was a moment. It is said to have been made from, quoting the LA Times, that's me quoting the LA Times, cutting up and burning several pairs of her own used underwear. Doesn't that sound dangerous?
Yep.
Isn't like inhaling microfibers of cloth not something you're supposed to do?
And like, you're not going to get a smell from that. Like, you're going to get burnt underwear. You're going to get cotton smell. That's it. Like, you're not getting put. All right. I don't know what's worse, like actually taking things that were on your puss and expecting it to smell like it, or like just taking random scents like geranium and saying, oh, this smells like my pussy. I don't know which one is worse. They're both bad. And like, as a person who enjoys pussy, as a person who like doesn't mind being around it in any type of way, it's just definitely been in it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like I want my room to smell like pussy. I have.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I was thinking about this yesterday. I had an oven pizza for dinner. Sometimes it happens, you motherfuckers. You're not cooking all the time. Sometimes you have an oven pizza for dinner. It's a pandemic.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I had an oven pizza for dinner. And I'm like washing the pan off, and I'm like, after it's all said and done, pizza kind of stinks. Like, you want pizza, not saying pussy kind of stinks. Don't conflate what I'm saying. This is still
someone's like, well, what you trying to say?
You canceled. But
waiting to press that button.
After it's all said and done, like, you want to smell the pizza as you're eating the pizza.
Yes.
But you don't want a person to smell like pizza. Like, sometimes niggas come up and they smell like pizza, and I'm like, you gotta get out. You gotta get out of my face, my home, my life.
It's strong.
Earth. So like, scents, certain scents are not for all of the things. So like, yes, when it's just you chilling with your vagina and your bodily smells or whatever, yeah, sure. When it's you engaging with someone else and their bodily smells or whatever, yeah, sure. But
when I'm reading a book, when I'm kicked back,
I want to burn a candle, I don't think it's that.
When I want to take a bath, like the times, or even when I want a room to be smelled and enveloped with a certain scent, I'm never thinking pussy.
Or pizza.
There's
just certain things. Like, like when you're at the gas station or whatever, you're like, oh, gas kind of smells good though. But you're not burning a gas candle in your home.
I love the smell of onions. Like the way that it
Me
smells
too.
when I'm cooking something.
Yes. Onions and garlic.
So good. But I never think to myself,
let me burn an onion candle.
And no, I love those smells.
Although I do burn onion skins though.
Oh, word?
Yeah. To like banish.
Oh, nice.
Like banish disease and stuff like that.
We gotta talk about that. Yeah. But yeah, see, we kind of just like, yeah, that's good. But again, you wouldn't have done that so that you can smell it. You're doing it for a purpose.
I would recommend that woman burn some onion skins after that fucking Goop times heretic shit burned in
bad
home,
energy for that place.
Yeah, you need to cleanse, my nigga. Well, yeah, so I don't like that Erykah Badu did that, but I dislike Gwyneth Paltrow significantly more because she's selling Hotepian white woman thing.
Yeah.
And it's
I
one
get
thing to be
that.
a black hotep like Erykah Badu, but it's something
And she's always been, you know, like,
Yes.
yeah, you know what to
Yeah.
expect when you enter her realm. Like,
Another thing is that Gwyneth Paltrow is still selling these vagina candles, and Erykah Badu's Badussi is nowhere to be found on her
Yeah.
website. But you can buy water bottles with crystals in them, which I thought was very that was very on brand.
that's a thing.
And they too were like $75. I was about to say $75,000. All right, so
Someone would buy it.
thoughts and wrapping up. There's nothing I'd rather smell less than Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina. I do want to make that clear. There is a conversation to be had about the vagina smell / taste, like X, Y, and Z thing, or that pussies don't smell or taste, and all that kind of stuff. I feel like it's very. It dips into sex negativity.
Yeah.
It dips into pandering for like the male gaze. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat so many fucking pineapples so my pussy tastes good. This nigga's cum tastes like Newports though.
Yo,
So how
like his balls were stuck to his ass crack.
this nigga has not washed the inside of his ass in his whole life.
But I have to like eat pineapples and only have
Yeah.
waters with crystals in it so that my vagina doesn't taste like it's supposed to.
Yeah. Like fuck that. But
Fuck that.
if you listen to the show, you know how we feel about that. And this is a segment for shenanigans. So we're not gonna get into that. We will, however, go into more shenanigans. Imagine the world in 10 years with continued celebrity shenanigans. I'm hypothesizing Yahya Abdul Mateen taint scented candles.
You would.
Specifically smell
Are
like
you?
taint. And I would buy that actually.
I was gonna ask.
We got Doja Cat's fart wind humidifier, which
Wow.
I think there's a market for that. Cardi B's breast milk ice cream, which I have a little samp.
Beyonce's breath.
Yes,
Because people
Beyonce's
love
breath.
Beyonce.
Yes.
Like I don't know if that's like a wind, like a fan that it comes out of. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Like a
yeah,
mystifier.
Yeah. Like
'Cause
the
you know,
ones with
fan-
the ones with the water in the
Yes,
bottom.
yes,
It's like
exactly.
that.
But
That's
it's
the
like-
essence.
Exactly.
Yes.
Wow, that's fun. Someone sweat. I'm just thinking. No, not a sweat. Whose sweat would I want? Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Yeah,
it would
yeah,
be
yeah, there
Rihanna's
you go.
sweat. It would
It'd be
actually
Rihanna's.
be Rihanna's sweat.
There
yes.
you go. Because
Yeah.
it's just.
I just feel like it wouldn't stink.
I don't.
I know
think
that's
so
I know
either.
that's contradicting everything I just
And
said.
that's a lot of pressure on someone because she is just a human person. But you gotta convince me otherwise.
For one
I
moment, we're
don't
gonna
think-
deify you. I don't think your sweat would.
I don't think it smells.
Maybe her feet sweat specifically, but
Yeah.
everything else, the underneath of
glistens.
Rihanna's boob sweat.
Yeah, I'd do that.
I don't think
Not
that
do it,
stinks.
but I'd.
Yeah, I would become that.
Yeah. I just imagine you like melting down into it, and you're like, "That's it.
that was the purpose.
My
of
higher
short life.
existence."
Okay. Well,
right.
if you guys at home have any additional shenanigans of bodily fluids that you would like to see made in the world, let us know. ihupodcast@gmail.com, or you can add us at Interho Uprising on Instagram and Twitter. Is the conversation in this episode so far resonating with you? That would be funny if it was. I think
you
you
buy
should
a
be
candle.
and it exploded in my home. Is it helping you learn some new shit, helping you unlearn some old shit, or just allowing you to have a good ass time? All right, the people are saying that it is, and we love to hear that. We would also love for you to support the continuation of conversations like these. If you're listening to us on a podcast app, you can take a moment to subscribe to us or drop 5 stars and leave a rating for the homies. If you got a little extra chickadee change, you can drop some cash in the PayPal by going to paypal.me/interho, or come join our Patreon community and access things like our chat and virtual events for as low as $2 a month. Patreon.com/interho uprising is where you go to do that. Or you can just hit up a friend and say, yo, listen to this podcast. I love it so much. You should listen to it too. We thank and love you all for your continued support. All right, now we're going
Yeah.
to get into our next segment. All right, this is our current event segment. That's where we talk about things that are current.
Yes.
We have a
So
great one for you today.
I do. I don't know if you remember in the beginning of the episode, but we were talking about a little Danish penis television show. I don't know. We kind of like toss that around. Well, it's a thing, guys. So the information I'm giving you is largely pulled from. I'm gonna I think we should put the notes in. Hold on. We're going to put it in the show notes, but it's largely pulled from one article. So the Danish equivalent of the BBC, I think we've talked about BBC, but a lot of people know who that is. It's called DR, and they have a new animated segment series aimed at 4 to 8 year olds.
That is so specific.
Specifically, and that's why we have to start with this, because you need to know that it's not like implied. This is a children's TV show about John Dillermand, the man with the world's longest penis who overcomes hardships and challenges with his record-breaking genitals, okay? So it must be said that Diller in Danish slang is penis. So his name is literally John Penis Man.
Here's a potential episode.
It's just John Penis Man. That's it. It always writes itself, but yes. So the show's premise is that John Dillermand has an extraordinary penis. So extraordinary, in fact, that it performs rescue operations, it etches murals, it hoists flags, and even steals ice cream from children. I don't know if he's a rascal.
Why would it do that?
He's a rascal, and he's also, so this is why. I'll tell you
rude.
Why. John Dillermand is a middle-aged man who wears this is what it says on Wikipedia now, a middle-aged man who wears a red and white candy-striped bathing suit. He has a penis that can extend to the length of 12 meters, and he uses his penis as a tool. And he tames lions and he flies about like a helicopter. It's really like, it's a stop motion thing. I watched it for this. I did, because I was like, I need to know what this looks like. And the one thing that disturbed me the most is I did not like the fact that it looked like a candy cane.
His dick looks like a candy cane.
Because what it is he's wearing, you know, those bathing costumes that like in the older ones where it goes down to their feet and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, so obviously they're not not obviously, they aren't showing the actual penis. It's just,
it's clothed.
Yes,
like
and it's stretching exactly, and it's stretching through the bathing costume, and it's akin to a candy cane, basically. Like, it looks like that. The first scene is him trying to light his barbecue grill, but it's far away, and he doesn't want it to explode, so he uses his penis to light it. Yes.
Oh,
this
no.
is.
Oh no.
I think we have, and I'll talk a little bit about this later. I think we do have to recognize that in the UK and a lot of other places, they do have a different relationship with sex. So it's supposed to be like
normalizing genitals.
But the reason that why it's a problem, and they'll talk about this a little bit, but the reason why it's a problem is because, and why would he steal candy from children and all that type of stuff? He's supposed to be a hero, but then there are times that his penis, he can't control it, and it does wild things, which is where I'm like, all right, you're now going into dangerous territory, because you're trying to show, I just
couldn't control my dick. Like,
exactly. And it stole candy from a baby. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just doing things beyond my control. And oops, my penis did it. Like, I can't even believe this is a real conversation. Anyway,
I just didn't expect to be having this conversation.
There's a couple of different like comments from different like professionals on the subject. So Christian Gross, an associate professor and gender researcher at Roxilby at a university, said that he believed that the program's celebration of the power of male genitalia could only set equality back. So it's perpetuating the standard idea of a patriarchal society and normalizing locker room culture that's been an excuse for a lot of behavior from men, and it's meant to be funny. So it's seen as harmless, but it's not, and we're teaching this to our kids, which is exactly what I thought of before I saw it. I was like, you know, it's supposed to be funny, and it's just like, whoops, my penis did this, and it fucking, you know, but it's weird. It's like, what is the point? You know?
Yeah, what are you trying to, because all kids shows are like teaching lessons or whatever, like, and this lesson is a bit odd.
And
rape culture-y.
And another this person went a little hard. I feel like I don't know what side they were on, but they had a lot to say about this. I'm gonna go with Hosted. That's their last name. So Erla Hosted, a clinical psychologist who works with families and children, says she believes that the show's opponents may be overthinking things. So she said John Dillermand talks to children and shares their way of thinking, and kids do find genitals funny, which is true.
But should they though?
Exactly. It should be less.
Can it just be a part of your body?
Exactly.
Like your hand your penis? Like,
why would we make it
unit.
even more funny? So like now I'm associating penis with like something that's laughable, when now I feel like across the board we've been trying to, because when I worked for a school for a little bit, we specifically made sure not to say things like no parts, or like, oh,
your ding dong.
Yeah, you have to say penis and vagina, because when you know what it is, you know when someone's referring to it, and you know when someone, unfortunately, it's preparing them for, if something happens and someone touches it or something inappropriate happens, you can explicitly say, if someone says, did someone touch your vagina, and they don't even know what that is, they can at least say, yes, I know exactly what that is.
Having the language, yeah.
So I guess adding on to that, like, this is funny, so let's make it even more funny, doesn't really help in any type of way. But it says the show depicts a man who is impulsive and not always in control, who makes mistake like kids do. But crucially, Dillamette always makes it right. He takes responsibility for his actions. When a woman in the show tells him that he should keep his penis in his pants, for instance, he listens, which is nice. He's accountable. So I paused there and I was like, why was his penis out of his pants?
No, but seriously though, like,
why does she have to tell him?
And why does it keep happening? You know,
that's the whole premise.
I can get the initial accountability. Like, yeah, some people don't, I guess, understand like sexual assault and like the gray area that it is. But once you're told, why is it still happening? And why is it like, ha ha ha, oopsies? You know? I could see this being like one episode of a kid show.
For it to be everything that he's always making it right because he apologizes for the things that he's done. I don't get it.
This nigga is. I'm trying to think of one of the celebrities who have like assaulted people. Let me not say
Louis C.K.
That's a good. I think that's a good fit for this.
Yeah, because it's like, just like
whoopsie.
No one said anything. Then whatever. Anyway, so Hosted also goes that they admit that the timing was poor because the Me Too movement has been here for a while in the States, but in Denmark it is now just starting because a TV show host came forward and it became like so like now in 2020 or the end of 2020 2021 is now they're starting a Me Too movement, so it came in light of that, and that the show they also said that the show could have considered depicting difference in body and diversity in a different way other than a huge dick, but she was saying how like it's not about sex, so to pretend that it's about sex and making it an adult thing is what is our problem. Basically, we're projecting the adult ideas to it. But I'm like, it's not that. It's not about, I didn't think it was about sex at all. I just thought it was about a guy whose penis gets him into trouble and he apologizes for it and everything's okay. Which like it is, and it doesn't make any sense. But the show,
and like paired with the fact that penises are sexual organs.
Yeah. That's, like I can't really separate
pretty
that.
Strong link there to me. I don't know. Hodgestead.
But DR, the channel that has this show on it, John on it, is not a stranger to pushing boundaries for children's television. So we're very, I don't think I say we're, but I mean like American TV, I think is very filtered and censored in terms of children's programming. Sure. Like we don't, there's not any characters that are doing anything out of like really.
Kurosami couldn't even be gay. Like let's just
exactly.
Mr. Ratburn just turned gay like last year or something.
And then it was like banned in so many different places. Yeah. So they have Onke Rigi, which is a popular figure who curses and smokes a pipe and avoids bathing. So like those are all things that they're like, oh, these are things that we shouldn't be teaching children, but the character does it all the time. And then there's a character in Geppetto News, which is like the equivalent of Sesame Street. It's like puppets, who recently revealed a love of cross-dressing. I couldn't find the character, so that's all I had on it. So that was interesting. And then there's also Ultra Smiter Tojet, which translates to Ultra Strips Down. I'm sorry if I'm butchering this language. It is not even close to anything that I'm familiar with. But it's a Danish TV show that the message is, this is what normal bodies look like. But in doing that, they're presenting a panel of children from 11 to 13 with a panel of nude adults, which I get it. It's like, they're just like, they have the adults walking around and like, or like just in front of them, and they say this is what a normal body looks like, as opposed to, you know, Instagram, and it's supposed to be away from like these ultra doctored up bodies or things like that. So I'm like, this is the same channel who does this, And I still think John Dillerman wasn't the best idea that they could have done. Like, granted, I don't think the panel of nude adults is like the easiest thing to defend, but I can almost see why, because it's not sexual. It's just like literally someone standing there. And I'm sure they were prepped for it.
With that one.
Yeah. So it's like, clearly it's a different relationship, but even in considering that, it's just like not ideal. And then their response was really lame too. So they responded to the latest criticism by saying it's not supposed to be a commentary on gender, and that they could have just as easily made a show, quote unquote, about a woman who has no control over her vagina.
That's equally problematic.
That's their response. And that the most important thing was that children enjoyed John Dillerman. And like, I looked it up and I was like, do children enjoy it? And like, I don't think they have, because that was my first question. I was like, is this something that children are like really hot about? But it's so new, like it came out this year, that there's like not a lot of feedback. I see like a 69%, not 69. I think that's my brain who did that. I was gonna say 69% approval rating. Yeah. But it's more like, it's not.
Yeah, but who's doing that? It's not like the 4-year-old is like,
exactly. They're not sitting here like, John Dillerman, let's freaking go. Like, it's not happening like that. But yeah, you gotta watch it. It's not in English. It's in Danish. But I watched it and it was it's like stop motion, robot chicken-esque, and it's just, I don't know. It's an interesting time.
I wonder who is in the writer's room, and that was such a tit for tat response.
Like we could have easily just made it about a woman. Like they don't even know what the problem is.
Oh, and if a woman hits a man, is that okay? And then like all actual feminists are like, no, that's also not okay. Like, what are you trying to
no?
What are you trying to? A woman or anyone who has a vagina, first of all, like, why are we even being reductive in terms of but anyone who has a vagina should also not be losing control of their vagina that often. And then also, like, John Dillerman, I'm assuming, is a grown-ass man.
Yes, he's a middle-aged man specifically.
So what the fuck are you losing control of your penis so much for? What the fuck is this shit?
And you're teaching the lesson that's being taught is like, and even when Hodgstead was like defending it, the lesson that's being taught is like, it's okay to do anything with your penis as long as you apologize for it and you make it right.
Can there be a show about like, I just punch people in the face and I go whoopsie and I keep punching people in the face?
As long as you make it right, bro. As long as you make it right.
Weird. I don't know about that one, Chief. Yeah,
I don't know either. And
I'd like to hear from people in Denmark.
Yeah, to see how they feel about it.
Yes, exactly.
If we find anything else, we'll follow up on John Penis Man.
Yeah, and if you're listening in Denmark, let us know.
Let us know, please.
All right. Well, speaking of penis, the sperm emperors of the pandemic are in high demand. More on that after this. So you got to keep listening. So if you can't get enough of the hose, luckily you can hear us in other places. Last week, I was a guest on the podcast 3 Clips, and myself and In Those Jeans executive producer, Janina Jeff, In Those Jeans executive producer and host, Janina Jeff, spoke about how our award-winning science and Black pop culture podcast, In Those Jeans, gets made. I want to shout out Jay Acunzo and producer Andrea Maraskin, who asked some great questions and laid out a wonderful behind the scenes of the In Those Jeans podcast. Link to this episode of 3 Clips will be in the show notes. Also this week, our fellow co-host Rob was a guest on Horrible Decisions podcast. That is a show hosted by 2 New York City women all about working out the kinks. To listen to that, you can click the link in our show notes. And if you're here after hearing Rob on Horrible Decisions, welcome. Okay, now we're going to get into our second current event of the day. This is something that I came across in a New York Times article called "The Sperm Kings Have a Problem, Too Much Demand" by Nellie Bowles. I'll drop the link in the show notes. I'm not going to read the entire thing like we did with the New York Post article earlier, but there's some stuff that I want to chat about because I think it's just fucking fascinating and interesting. So here are some fun facts laid out in the article that give you some good context. Okay, so some fast facts. Since the pandemic began, demand for sperm donors has gotten higher, but an actual supply of sperm has gone down. Folks in the industry hypothesize that things like loneliness, wanting some hope for the future, and work from home situations are contributing to this increased demand for sperm for folks who want to start their families. Also, with the legalization of gay marriage and a rise in single mothers by choice, demand for sperm has just been trending upwards for the past couple of years in general. Nice. However, because of pandemic restrictions, donors haven't been going to traditional sperm banks to donate sperm, but there's been a rise in an off the books kind of sperm donation, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. Lastly, for more context, the author herself is a partnered lesbian who was looking for that sweet, sweet semen to start her family. Yes, that sweet, sweet semen. Another potential episode title. Okay, so some specific things that I want to talk about that this article touches on. So the concept of quote unquote smart sperm, and feel free to chime in.
Okay.
Like dialogue-y.
Of course.
This is a quote from the article. Many people also want smart sperm. That's why some big banks are near elite colleges. That immediately made me uncomfortable. First of all, what does it even mean to be smart in general? What does it mean?
What's the barometer? Just if you go to elite college?
What's the barometer and who set the barometer?
Yes.
IQ is, first of all, it has racist origins.
Yep.
It was created by a white man. That other shit, the fucking 7 intelligences or whatever, which is granted more inclusive than IQ, but that was also invented by a white man.
And then elite colleges, a lot of the time, it's people who can buy themselves into it. So does that indicate intelligence? I'm not sure.
People who can buy themselves into it or come from families who went.
Yep.
So I don't even. And then also, how are these people certain that being smart is a heritable trait? Because that's not a fact. That's not a fact, but it's not like there's no general consensus in scientific literature that says, oh, being smart is
hereditary.
We don't even know what being smart is.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I want smart sperm. It's just like, what are you even talking about? Is that?
I think this is a callback to misinformation. It's a callback to just like assumptions and going, all right, well, we had a conversation about misinformation earlier on. I think we mentioned it. But it's just like, oh yeah, that if you're smart, you're speem. Oh my God.
You're speeming.
If you're speeming, it's gotta be smart. You gotta have them smart ass eggs, and it's just, it makes no sense. There's a lot of elitistness in that elitishness. Yeah.
And just like if it was like this super observable, heritable trait, and we were saying that things like quote unquote IQ, that didn't need a quote unquote. I'm just being a dick to IQ, but rightfully so. If we are saying that like IQ is like the marker of this phenotype, being smart,
yeah,
then wouldn't we see like generations of geniuses like over and
because
over
people
and over
would
again?
Because people would just be like, oh, this is the
passing
genius
that down.
family. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But who the fuck is Einstein's kids? Who is that? Are they did they also develop did they do theory of relativity part 2? Like, I don't.
It just doesn't make, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, so now I think you're saying it, and I was about to say, it's just like, so now you're just like, oh, we're isolating the smart gene, so we're only gonna like reproduce with other smart people and eventually be like, oh, you don't have this, so we're gonna cancel you out.
And what Rebecca is getting at is eugenics, my friends. That is the literal definition of eugenics. Saying things like that is eugenicist.
Yeah.
And like, you have the right to do that. You have the right to partner with any sperm donor you want based on any perceived qualities that they have, but you are being eugenics when you do that.
Yeah. And I've also heard trends like the least affable is not the word. The least enticing sperm is redheads, which is I know I've read that because I wanted to donate eggs at one point in time, and there's like actual like qualifications, and they would never take my eggs because I'm too short, my weight. Yeah, it's like you have to be a certain type of person. You have to have no medical history of anything bad whatsoever. But like, even not like cancer or anything, but like any of those things. It's a very long list of qualities that they prefer. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like, oh, they see this Black woman coming and they're like, maybe now they'd be like, oh, a Black man's coming in, let me take his sperm, which is like problematic. I know what I'm saying, but in my head, I'm like, I can see it just being very pick me and like, oh, this is what I want, and I designer babies type of thing. There you go.
Babies, yeah.
And I don't know what that designer looks like or what it looks like in the end, but it wasn't me because I was looking at the things. I was like, I'm none of these things, and that's like $8,000 an egg. I was gonna give it, because at this point,
Why not?
Why not at this point? But yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot
That's
of
4
requirements.
stimmies.
Yeah. I'd get it faster, but then I'd get the stimmy, might as well. And maybe, make somebody happy. So I was down for it. Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up too, because I just want the racial and socioeconomic stats on sperm donors, like who is not being considered. Like if we are picking people from quote unquote elite colleges, ain't no niggas in those. Like there are niggas in elite colleges, obviously, but like the statistics is a lot lower for like socioeconomic reasons, not because we're not as smart as people who are in those colleges, because we've been traditionally locked out. Also, those colleges are built on a lot of pseudoscience and specifically scientific racism. Yeah. The next thing that I would like to talk about is attractive sperm, quote unquote. So one part of the article mentions a particular donor sale, and basically 35 vials produced from a quote unquote particularly handsome blue-eyed black-haired male sold out fast.
Interesting.
And then black hair and blue eyes. And after that, the author of the article says, I twitched a little hearing this, knowing I might have missed out on excellent sperm. I check the banks a few times a day, but not that often.
Wow.
That and like, thank you for writing the article. And I thought it was enlightening in many ways and insightful in many ways. But hearing that disgusted the fuck out of me.
Rightfully so.
Like a blue-eyed, black-haired male being defined as excellent sperm is weird.
Yeah.
I think it's weird to rank certain phenotypes as excellent for reproductive purposes. And once again, it feels extremely eugenist.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the preferences conversation. Like, I'm not colorist, I just like a light-skinned female, because they would say female and not woman. You can't remove that from actual colorism that exists in the world, though, and the fact that you were birthed into that. And as a white person, you can't remove the fact that you niggas invented race in the first place, have been calling people who are not white trash and like fucking inferior for years. Like that shit is still happening, but like just stopped.
Yeah.
Like fucking like Nazis still exist, my nigga. Like World War II was like what? Fucking 80 years ago.
Not
Like that's one human.
Yep.
That is one generation.
A single one.
That could be like y'all's grand fucking fathers and shit like that, and probably is. So like the fact that you're still playing, like that's why they're still playing in it though, because we are still very much in this like pseudoscientific racial scientific society. But like just like to not have the awareness of what you're saying and to be writing an article in the New York Times and to even like not question that, like maybe it was something that was questioned, like the editor cut it or something like that, but
or just
be aware.
In there.
Be aware of the world.
There,
read the room, my nigga.
I was just about to say, put it in there and not like reference it by
challenge
saying,
it. Challenge yourself.
Exactly. Instead, it's like, oh shucks, I missed out on it.
And some excellent sperm. Like, can we have a sidebar about why you think that's excellent?
I just be like, let's stop. What makes that excellent? Where'd you get that from? Yeah. And then watch them fumble, or maybe be proud in what they think. I don't know, because they don't even realize it's fucking wrong.
Woo child. So yeah, that made me uncomfortable, and I hate racism in general, obviously, as I think we all should. But it's like particularly troubling here and like annoying because I love possibilities and things being different from the way that they are, and sperm donation and being a recipient of sperm donation is like an opening up of possibility. Like your family could be so many different ways. Like you could really want to engage in the genetic diversity of humans, which is cool.
Yeah. And
the fact that you're still existing in this hierarchy and like this ranking of what is good genetics and what is quote unquote bad genetics is whack.
Yeah.
Like you could just be so open about it.
Yeah.
You are two fucking women. You are two people with quote unquote female reproductive organs who are starting a family with someone you don't even know.
Yeah.
That's cool. You could be out there, but you're just like, I want somebody
linear.
Blue eyes, black hair, handsome. And we know he's white.
Of course.
Like, why do you still have to be that whack? It's whack. On the same or on the flip side though, do I personally want people who still hold on to these values raising kids of color? And the answer is hell the fuck no. So you can have your black-haired, blue-eyed baby, you motherfuckers. Like,
just keep it in line, because clearly if you were to branch out and just like find sperm of a different race or anything like that, I feel like the things you would teach that child, I don't even want them to be out there. Just let you keep your little blue-eyed, black-haired baby, and
you raise them to want another blue-eyed, black-haired
Yep.
baby, and just go on. Like
that's it.
It's just beef. It's just beef. I just have beef. I don't like it.
I get it.
Yeah. But even like people who say that they don't have those beliefs, I think there is another conversation to be had, which we're not having because I didn't think about this very much. Or I mean, you can chime in if you want, but like someone who's like, well, I do want a black baby.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of touching on that before, where it was just like, then it becomes like, okay, why do you want a black baby?
Do you want an exotic black baby?
Yeah, because that's what a lot can be said, and a lot of the time what the commentary is on the Kardashians, where it's just like, you wanted your mixed baby. So now I was kind of half scared that this article was going to lean to that, which is also just as bad, where it's just like, oh, you're picking a baby that you feel like would look exotic, or like, oh, I know that they're just going to look cute. And you're just like, the same reason why somebody's like, I could never be with a dark skinned person, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. You're kind of skipping the middleman and literally just taking the sperm and doing what you want to do in terms of this designer babies. And that's why I was saying it depends on what the designer baby looks like for you, because for some people it's a blue-eyed, black-haired baby, but for other people it's just like, I want that black man sperm because I will have or I'll have that
looking kids.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, it's shitty altogether. And like the people have that right. I just wish they wouldn't exercise that right, and they would just like
exactly like, just like I want my child's genes to ensure that they will not die at birth. Like,
yes. You know,
that's,
and it's
that's
like
the complete destruction of hierarchy, I think. Like, just like I want them to live.
Yeah. And like the smart gene thing was kind of like almost where I was like, okay, maybe, because there's no proof in it, but at least you're like, oh, you know, you want your child to be intelligent, but it still feels like it's rooted in like this really shallow, oh, I want my baby to be a genius.
It is. That's totally rooted in intelligence. And like in the eugenicist movement, I mean, we talked about this in the episode we did about reproductive rights and stuff like that. Like, it was like two big things like driving the eugenicist movement. And it was like, we don't want no fucking black people, and we don't want no fucking like I guess people who we would define as mentally inferior.
Yeah.
Like, the shit has always been racist and ableist. So to say like a smart gene, once again, is just like,
yeah, it's the same thing.
It's fucked up. It's just still eugenics, and I hate it. And
it's not like, oh, I want my baby to be a good person. Let me. If they were saying things like, oh, let me have a baby by a firefighter, or like somebody who I consider like a hero or something, because I want them to be good people. Yeah. Granted, I still would be like, that's silly. But at the same time, it's like, okay, maybe there's something good in that. There's some good where you just want to produce another person who can help other people out. But it's just baseless and shallow. It's just like, oh, I want a good looking person, you know, who could be anything. In terms of personality.
Which is also subjective.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Also, like, deeply rooted in white supremacist constructions of what beautiful is. Yep. So fuck all of that, but let's go on to the renegades of sperm donation, because this is kind of cool. So since supplies are low now, and also because of already existing barriers like really, really high cost, people have been donating and receiving sperm outside of traditional sperm banks. So the author refers to this subset of people as the quote unquote sperm kings. Once again, I don't know if the editor played a role in this, but can we just like stop with the fucking genitals gender thing? Can we just stop? But can we stop if we're queer? Like, you're a lesbian writer. Why do they have to be sperm kings? Why can't they just be people with sperm?
Yep.
Not everybody who has a penis is a man.
Yep.
Come on. Like, it's frustrating because like I know that everybody is not there.
Yeah.
In regards to like gender IQ, or not IQ, let me just disregard IQ, but everybody's not there in regards to like gender literacy.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to be there, and that's fine. But at some point, if you know, you have to start talking like that so other people know.
Yeah.
So if you are writing an article in the New York Times and you are a queer woman, you should not be conflating genitals with gender. Please just stop. Like, and I'm literally saying like, please just stop. Like,
please say psych.
say psych right now.
Please.
Say psych right now. Like, so, and it's like doubly troubling because it is like a big publication like the New York Times.
Yeah.
Like, here's my bad. Like, I produce a science podcast in those genes. There was a couple of times last season, and I'm like reflecting on it like earlier in the season where like when we were talking about like female parent and male parent, we would say mom and dad. Making a point this season to not do that anymore because I don't like that. And you can change. So like when I say please say stop, like I don't think that Nelly Bowles is gonna listen to this, but like I'm literally asking like please just stop. Like I don't think that you meant harm by it. I don't think you meant harm by it, but like stop doing that. And like the editors who edit the stuff, stop doing that. Like just like change it up a little bit, especially if you are queer, because I know that's already in your brain.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I henceforth they will be referred to as the sperm emperors. Because I don't want to gender people who have sperm. So some things about the sperm emperors, they typically give sperm for free. They let families know their identities,
which doesn't usually happen.
That does not
a number or like just a code.
Yes.
And like fast facts about the donors.
Yep. Yeah. It's usually anonymous. You don't get to see them as an adult. Sometimes some places let you see them as a child. And like one interesting thing that the art, like I still think like read the article because I think it is insightful. But one interesting thing that the article brought up is like the anonymity of these places is like pretty much BS now that Ancestry.com, 23andMe, like you just take a test and find out who your actual dad is at this point. Even if he does, or even if they don't take the test, even if that parent doesn't take the test, if one of their relatives has taken the test, it's increasingly easy to find these people. Wow. And instances like that have happened. So it's just like, why not let niggas know? Why not let niggas know who I am? They don't have limits on how many families they work with. So at traditional sperm banks, there's a limit because
you don't want a bunch of siblings.
Yeah, you don't want genetic concerns in the population. So I guess if like this motherfucker is spreading all of the sperm to like everybody in New York. And niggas in New York are like, okay, who's my dating population? People who were birthed around the same time that I was birthed. Oh shit, I'm dating my sibling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't even think about that.
Then we get to the lesbian sister rabbits. We brought it back to them. They didn't know who their fucking parents were.
And there you go. That's exactly what happens. It's full circle.
Yeah, so these motherfuckers don't have limits on how many families they work with.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting. But then again, also with like traditional sperm banks, you're typically going to a place that's nearby. But sometimes these people work with people like, oh, I'm going to do 15 families in the US, and I'm going to go to Canada and work with 15 families over there.
Wow. Okay.
There are apps. So there's, and this is not a sponsorship of any of these apps. I just want you to know there's apps. One is called Madomily. One is called Just a Baby. And there are 2 Facebook groups. I became a member of both yesterday because I just wanted to see what was going on. There are influencers popular for both giving sperm and going through the process of buying sperm. And
wow,
this is where stuff gets a little bit saucy. So this is a quote from the article. Most donors specify that they will donate through AI, artificial insemination. Some will also donate via NI, natural insemination, or sex. The line between altruism and a sexual kink can get murky and raises safety questions.
Yeah.
So the article went on to describe that like the murky thing is like, what if somebody comes back and is like, yo, you owe child support? Or what if a donor comes back and is like, wait, that's my baby, I want custody? And how do we write contracts? Safeguarding against those things. So that's a thing that exists. I haven't heard any instances of that, but that's a thing that exists. And then obviously the safety questions are like in regards to like sexually transmitted infections. There's a little bit more to it though. So I went on a website called Co-Parent, which is like basically for people who engage in sperm donation or receiving. And I got all of the acronyms. So there's AI, artificial insemination, pot and syringe outside the clinic in a recipient's house or hotel. Then we got AI plus.
Okay.
So that's artificial insemination with the recipient cooperating. The donation obtained with the recipient present and giving assistance in the room. This could be anything to stimulate the donor. For example, parading, mutual touching, a helping hand, oral, or anything other than intercourse. The recipient then inseminates the donation as per AI. So like they just do it in out, but they still do it in the cup.
Okay. Wow.
And we have partial insemination. This is where the donor masturbates and just before coming will ejaculate into the recipient, i.e., intercourse strictly for procreation, not recreation. Then we have our straight up natural insemination, which is unprotected sex. Then we have NI plus, which is oral sex followed by natural insemination.
Well, okay, everything
sex.
but NI plus was like anything but NI plus. I was like, all right, they're getting creative. Like, granted,
NI plus
you
is
know,
just niggas are fucking.
Yeah, like you don't even have to identify that one. The NI plus, like the oral sex adds nothing to the actual procreation process. You did not need to put.
I just wanted to suck a little dick for a baby.
Yeah, like
What's
don't
wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Me too. I was like, you know what? I'm not shaming anybody. I'm like, you know what? They get it done how they need to get it done, and they want a baby. You know, I've never understood that desire, but I get it because some people really want children. Yes. But like the NI plus is where you lost me because I'm like, bro, you added that oral sex just to stunt a little bit. Like, yeah, I did the NI plus.
Get on my level.
But I did the full Monty. And that's what it feels
you just tell the kid when you grow up, you know, I sucked some dick for you. So like
you were wanted, okay? You were wanted. I did what I had to do.
Don't cause no trouble in the household. I did a lot to get you here.
Yeah, especially like you think about it. It's like if it's like a same-sex marriage, you don't even. It's just like I'm doing what I got. I don't even like dick.
I don't even like this
for you. Clean your room, okay? Little NI plus ass.
Oh boy, yeah. NI plus. Shout out to the NI plus babies who are listening to this for 15 years. Like that's what my parents did. Yo, I'm weak, son. That's very funny. I just enjoyed that. Thank you to coparent.com for breaking it down. The real tea. My last note on this is just like the whole new world of it all. So the article ends lamenting on how loneliness but lack of ability to start a traditional family is driving some of these sperm donors. So here's a quote. The men, and I'm putting in parentheses people who donate sperm because those two don't have to always be linked, often do not have families of their own but think their genes deserve to survive. It's a quote from one of those people. Now I have this vision of me being in my 50s and 60s, and I have a large dinner table, and I'm inviting all of my donor kids to join me for dinner and tell me their stories, their journeys. He continued, I want to hear all of their adventures. This is the thing that pushes me. I thought that was beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do love that. That's something that I kind of feel like I resonate with because I don't. And that's the first time I've ever thought I could do that too, where I would love to have them like at a table and just like, you're not mine. I don't want you to be mine. I don't
want to raise you.
That's what it is.
I want to have a human connection.
And it's just like, whoa, yes, wow. So that was really nice.
It was
cool. Nice, yes.
It was cool.
Granted, I hope he has leveled his expectations to that maybe they don't want a relationship with them.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I like the fact that he likes to have the door open though. Like,
yes.
If you want to come through.
Which a lot of the time people feel like they want that and they don't get it. So that's nice. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my overall thoughts, I'm fascinated. If you are a sperm donor, come on the show right now.
Please. Yeah. Just,
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Just be a nice person, man. You know?
Yeah, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
And then I went into, and I won't say anything that I saw in the group or whatever, because I feel like that's violating their privacy. But I joined, and then like a couple of hours after I was accepted, it was like, all right, we got a recipient for you. I was like, oh shit, y'all are moving quick.
Wow. Matched up.
Somebody DM'd me like,
wow,
we got this and that. A lot of
okay.
I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. I was here for research purposes, but that's pretty cool.
Okay.
I'll stay in it though. I mean, that's that.
Yo, if you
opened up my possibility thought process to forming a family, because I know we were talking about like single parenting by choice on the episode that Rob did a couple of weeks ago. And by that I mean several months ago. But time.
Yeah, it feels. Yeah.
But I like I like the cost benefit of this shit, and like there are so many things where you can like you can do the services naturally allotted to you by the sperm bank. So like, yeah, you can just get an STI test. Like you can do that on your own.
Nice.
You can just, if genetic concerns are something that are of concern to you, you can do a 23andMe test. And it's like, okay, you do carry the gene where it's like baby dying off rip genes. And then you know that person has baby dying off rip.
It's taking the medical power back into their own hands,
Yeah,
which
democratizing it.
We've talked about this before. I'm all for that, and just doing it in a safe way is what's more important. And just like should be costing like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, if you want to have one kid, it'll probably be $5,000 because
$5,000 NI Plus is free. Okay,
and you get a little,
and
you get a little razzle dazzle up in there.
little bit of little funsies. It could be simple.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Yep. If you're one of these people, come on the show. All right. We're going to go into our next segment now. Let me pull up the drop. Once again, Akua's favorite song. Shout out to Choti Ma. That is the person who composed this song.
Yes. Very good.
If you make music and want your music to be on this podcast, hit us up, ihupodcast@gmail.com. Okay. This segment is called Fuck You, and it is the segment where we read your listener letters. If you would like to ask us for some advice, share your hotels, rant against the white cishet patriarchy, you can send your thoughts to ihupodcast@gmail.com. Please include your pronouns. Also, because we are in the future, you can leave us a voicemail. We'll play it and respond to it on the show. You can drop us a line at 404-491-9158. Little disclaimer, the advice given in this segment is general advice and in no way meant to replace or serve as the advice of a medical or mental health professional. All right. So, go for it. Yep.
Okay. So this letter was given to us by Anonymous, and we were not giving any pronouns. So we're just going to read it as is. Content warning. The subject line is friendship ending, and content warning for mentions of sexual assault. Check the show notes for the time code to skip and to avoid this. So it starts, hello, peeps. Thank you for your content during this. Thank you for saying peeps. Gender neutral. We're doing
it. There you go, right there.
So thank you for your content during this historic time when we're all anxious. Thank you for listening. This is about to be very dramatic, and I will try to be chill in how I write everything. In April, I ended things with my sexual and mental abuser of 2 years who I was in a relationship with. I did so with the help and support of my therapist, who helped me to feel sane and in control again. At the end of the relationship, I had no boundaries with anyone in my life. In May, I finally told my best friend, sixth grade, we are 23 now, about being raped at the beginning of the relationship down to leaving him. Before this, I had been very emotional after finally freeing myself of that fucking monster. Before I told her, there had been distance between us on her behalf. She had just got back from losing her job in California. She also seemed different, more confident in herself in a good way, but also even more blunt than she had been before. Therapy has helped me to realize that not just my romantic relationships have been impacted by my childhood trauma, my friendships have too. In childhood, she would playfully pretend to not be my friend if I did something she didn't like. She's always been emotionally distant. After telling her everything over the summer till now, in October, we have been more and more distant. Now she texts me every once in a while asking, how are you mentally? And the conversations after I replied that and ask her the same. That's the extent of our friendship at this point. I also feel like she thinks I'm depressed because I'm not being optimistic. Anytime I say anything remotely not positive, she hints at being positive. Just because I said grad school is hard doesn't mean I said I thought I would fail. It's like she's willingly forgetting I'm a queer Black feminist woman going through grad school during a pandemic and historic election. That's valid. At this point, I feel like maybe we aren't doing. At this point, I feel like maybe we are already. At this point, I feel like maybe we already weren't doing great as friends. And now she wants to end our friendship, but just doesn't know how because of what I'm going through. So she just points out when I say something remotely negative. It hurts that she hasn't been there for me through such a traumatic thing as leaving a sexually traumatic relationship. I just needed a friend to kick it with. Still, I'm trying to be considerate about the fact that this is a traumatic time for everyone. COVID is getting worse. The election has all of our stomachs at knots. And like I said, she has lost her job in California and had to move back in with her parents. My question is, how do I either take this friendship for what it is or respectfully end this friendship with a childhood friend? Thanks, y'all. I know you have a lot to say. I initially was going to wait. I do have some quick things that I immediately thought of when I reread it. it's just very much like, I think they made a point to say that romantic relationships has affected them from their therapist point of view. And obviously this is something that we emphasize on the show a lot. Platonic relationships can affect you in a lot of ways, but I also think there are some pieces of advice that we usually reserve for romantic relationships that we should reserve for all types of relationships. And that is, in the same, I don't know, it seems like you haven't brought these things up in the same way that you're saying it here. And you guys grew up together. People change over time. And the fact that, you know, it probably was easy for you guys to have these conversations in the beginning because there wasn't really anything happening that was like traumatic or crazy, or not crazy, dramatic or conflict or anything like that. Because like from 6th grade, you have like these tiny conflicts and they feel like the world to you, but they're not like world ending, and they're not these things that are very much bigger now that you're an adult. But I think, you know, you're not having a conversation saying, hey, it feels dismissive when I'm telling you something is going on in my life and you're immediately telling me to think positive. Like, you have to challenge or not negate, set these boundaries and have these conversations in the moment. Because, you know, I've had people do that to me and I think to myself, well, maybe I am negative. And it starts to affect you when you're like, wait a minute, I just need the space to talk. This is really important to me. And even in you saying like, hey, all of my feelings are valid. And I it's not that I'm not positive. I'm just really having a moment where I want to talk to my friend about this. But I think that's important to, you know what? The second name of this show is not In Her Uprising. It's Communicate, Please. That's really what it is. And
Communicate, comma, please.
Please.
But it's a cum pun still.
Of course, communicate, please. And it's always going to be the age-old answer to things. You have to have these conversations, and they are difficult because you want to be the fun friend or you want to be the same friends that you were before. But it's really about sitting down and saying, hey, like, you know, this does affect me in a different way, and I am being positive, but that's not the solution to everything. And then going from there. But yeah, that was just my quick thoughts. But Sam, please.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with your quick thoughts. And I have, yeah, I'm just going to say like a little bit more detail about those thoughts, basically. So I kind of wrote it down in steps. So I think step 1, like, largely starts with yourself. Evaluate whether or not you want to continue this friendship, like for real. Like, weigh how it adds and detracts value from your life and decide from there. Like, if it's detracting more than it's adding, like sometimes it is. Sometimes you just got to cut your losses. I think a therapist can help you out with this. So it's good that you have that in place. Number 2, if you decide that it is adding more value or it is something that you want to try to salvage, ask your friends to have an open conversation about where you both stand in regards to the friendship, what your boundaries are, and what you need from it. I think this can and probably will be multiple conversations because it sounds like there's a pretty large rift happening. And if you're like Rodeka said, like, some of the advice that we take for romantic relationships, we don't place on, and this is we in the colloquial sense, not us specifically, but we don't place on platonic friendships or platonic relationships or even familial relationships, even though we can and probably should. So my next suggestion, like, if you're both committed to working on things, this can even be in the form of platonic couples therapy. Like, you can just both go together. And a third party can help you sort some of these things out because you're both coming with your personal like viewpoints and stuff like that. And maybe like a third person can like help you see where the other person is coming from and things. 2.5, step 2.5 sounds like some boundaries need to be established. One thing that I always live by since I heard it, so not always, but maybe like 2 years ago, was when you feel resentment, it means that you didn't establish a boundary. So if like you're mad at someone for something, or you're just like, why didn't they do this? Some communication was not had. And if the communication was had, then they're just stepping over your boundaries, and that's time to reevaluate that after that. But yeah, I think y'all can benefit from establishing what boundaries you both have. I think it's worth letting her know that when you speak, like Rebecca said, when you speak about something negative in your life, you're looking for an ear to listen, not a dose of positivity. She might not even, and that's not saying it's right, but she might not even know that that's like how you should communicate with someone. It seems like both of y'all are pretty young. And that's not something that, like, these are things that you learn. You know, it's not like, oh, inherently, oh, I know how to do that. I also think it might be worth you asking her about what her boundaries are in regards to venting. So she just might be ill-equipped to receive what you're saying when you're saying it, which might lead to the disconnect there. I don't know. Like she might just like not be in the space for something very negative.
Yes.
So it's worth like asking her if she is. And then 3, like if these things do go well and you do have these open conversations and these probably very difficult conversations about what you want out of the friendship and where you see and what capacity you even want the friendship, because sometimes people just like de-escalate their friendships. Like sometimes like they're best friends and then they're just like, oh no, we're best friends, whatever that means to you. Like maybe it's just like less of each other in your lives. But whenever you establish what that is and what you need and if you even want it, set some intentional time to bond. You know, like you're just like, oh, I tell her about my she asked me about my mental health and I ask her about hers, and that's it. That's intentional times to talk, but that's not intentional times to bond. That's not how friendships are developed. That's not how you all became friends as children. You know, like you still have to like have these like childlike ways about you, like even in romantic relationships. Just because you're in a committed relationship doesn't mean you stop dating and courting each other. Like you still have to be friends with your friends. So this is very outsider looking in, but it sounds like you two have grown apart. I mean, you've mentioned that. I think all friendships and relationships period need intentionality behind them. So if you are both committed to doing this work to rebuild your friendship, ensure that you build in time to have fun with one another. It is a pandemic, but bonding still can be done virtually. And I'm going to put a link to the show notes of a virtual date ideas thing that I made at the beginning of the pandemic that I still think can be fun. Sometimes me and Rodeka paint together on Zoom. And very
Sam
fun.
drops I'm setting intentional time to bond word for word. And I'm like, she does. And I'm like, it's time. She's like, we're doing this. So I'm like, all right, it's very
let's hang out.
But
I'll put it in my calendar.
I will put you in between the things that I'm doing. And that's love in and of itself. It's just it doesn't always have to be like, well, we'll get to it. And you could be formal and say, hey, stop everything. This is what I want to do. And in a lot of ways that can feel good because you're like, okay, this person wants to hang out with me. This person wants to do that type of stuff. Yes. That's me speaking to Sam. But yes, in general.
This nigga loves me, low-key. So
I tried to kiss you. Yeah, see?
Nothing is new.
The worst time of my life, son. It was an accident. God.
I will forever bring it up. I will never #never forget.
Never forget.
All right. Anything else to say about that?
No, I think you hit it all right on the head. And it's exactly, I think the overall thing is not all is lost, especially the fact that like you guys are doing that little, how is your mental health? I don't think that they're intentionally trying to be dismissive. Granted, I don't know this person, but even for them to frame it in that way, I think that they're trying to like learn things and just like have that conversation. I think you guys just need to figure out your flow. And just like not let it be like, okay, that's it. And because when someone's like doesn't want to be your friend anymore, you're not getting that hit up. They're not gonna ask you that. They're not. It's just like you're not getting a text. Your phone is dry. But the fact that it's just like you're on their mind, I think you guys just need to figure out exactly what it is that you're both thinking and meet in the middle.
Yes. I agree with that. All right, Anonymous, let us know how it goes or not, whatever you want to do, but I hope it goes well no matter what you decide and what the outcome is. If this episode made you laugh, helped you learn something, made you feel good, made you question yourself in a good way, or positively moved you in any sense, please leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and let everyone you know that you love these hoes. We appreciate every single last one of yous.
And if you would like to follow us on social media, you can do so at Interho Uprising without the G on Twitter, Interho Uprising on Instagram and Facebook. You could join our Facebook group by searching Interho Uprising, CUMMUNITY, and head over to interhouprising.com to pay a hoe. And you can also follow me personally, Rodeka, sometimes Rebecca, at The Dark and sometimes Buku Chakama.
What's that? What is that?
So there was this anime that I was watching because some animes are just extremely outlandish. And if you don't watch a dub for anything other than the hilarity of the translations, this was one of those moments where it was just like the chef's kiss. It was like they just like it was random. There's like a whole bunch of characters you're supposed to know because I just jumped to like a random episode and it's just like, not the night of Buku Chakama. And I was like, nah, you guys at this point are just saying things that make no sense. So I made that my Instagram name and everyone has been like, what is this? And I was like, you gotta be there, yo. Like, but yeah, so sometimes Buku Chakma.
That's very funny.
And at the Darkest Timeline, and on on Twitter at Existing Crisis.
Well, I'm Slam Rid on Instagram, Twitter, and Clubhouse. I wish I had a Buku Chakma.
Oh yeah, and on Clubhouse, I think I'm Existing Crisis or Rebby or Not, one of the two.
It's in the show notes.
Yes, it is. Look there.
All right, everybody have a great week.
Bye.